Can I completely change my life over the course of the next year as a 40-year-old mum of two? Because that's the plan. Hi, I'm Leigh from Mortgage Free Leigh. I talk about money and mum life on the internet, and today we are talking about my plan for 2026. And it is big. I'm going big here, guys. Go hard or go home this year, because I honestly want to change my whole entire life. And I'm not talking about new year, new you and all of that rubbish. I'm talking about a fundamental need to seriously revamp everything about my life. And if you already subscribed to this channel, you'll have seen I've already started. So 2025 was like the soft launch, but we are hard launching in 2026. And I feel like I've tried and failed to change things before. So I thought, what better way to keep me accountable than to come on the internet and tell everyone what I'm planning to do, and then bring you with me through the year as I try and actually achieve this dream of completely overhauling my life. So that's what we're going to do today. But before we go into what I actually want to change and sort of setting out a plan, if you like, or goals, I thought we'd talk about why. Because don't get me wrong, there are some really great things about my life. I have a roof over my head. I have a great family. There are so many things that I am lucky and grateful to have. So if we start from a place of acknowledging that and then moving on to thinking it's okay to not necessarily want better. This isn't about wanting better or more. That's not what this is about. This is about wanting peace and happiness and a change of pace. And I'll tell you what I think's kicked it off. I turned 40 in October. If you follow me, you know about this, but I turned 40 in October. And I think that has been a bit of a life-changing milestone to where you sort of think, right, well, I'm probably, actually midlife, if we're being honest about it now. This feels like the moment where if I want to make changes, I need to make them now. You get reflective around your birthday, don't you? Start looking at things and thinking about where you thought you'd be or how things have changed over the last few years, and I just want to be happy. And I don't feel like I have been. And I want things to slow down a lot. So just to fill you in a little bit on my story, I became a mum in 2019. I have two children. One is 6, one is 3. They are wonderful. I would not change a single thing. I love them so much that I think my head could fall off. But that doesn't mean it wasn't hard. When I had my daughter, she did not sleep. And when I say she didn't sleep, when people are like, oh, the baby was up and down all night. I mean, I would be like, well, that suggests the baby was down at any point because mine never was. And that, coupled with a difficult birth, coupled with undiagnosed postnatal depression and postnatal anxiety, was a recipe for an extremely tough year for me. Perhaps longer than a year. But we are past that now, but that doesn't mean that I don't still find parenting and being a mum to 2 young children difficult at times. I get really easily overstimulated. But more than that, it is the constant juggle of everything. I talked about this in my career break video, and I'll mention this shortly. But it is the constant juggle of everything and the mental overwhelm of not necessarily having to do everything, but having to think of all the things that there are to do and anticipate all of the stuff that needs doing all the time. Because there's me, there's 2 children, there's a house, I have my family, my husband has some caring responsibilities for his mum, and it's so much. I think there are 103 requests relating to school alone this week. Not actually 103, but it feels like it, you know what I'm saying? There are flu jabs to get, unexplained rashes to worry about, work, social life, keeping the house tidy, we need a food shop. Literally, my brain at all times is about to set on fire because there's so much in there. And then to add to the demands of a busy household, I've also been a working parent, so I was employed in a job. I still am employed in a job, but I've taken a career break now because on the side I also had a business in content creation. So I was a mum with a business and a job. And ever since I had the kids, I felt this urge to be with them. And I'm not going to go too much into all of this because I talked about it in depth in my career break video, which I will link in the description box if you want to go and watch it. But essentially, this summer, I spent the summer with my daughter. And we had a really lovely summer. I was able to be there for most of it, even though I was working and running the business. I was able to be around for most of it and I really enjoyed it. And then I went back to work. A few things happened and I just felt like I needed a break. I needed a break. I've said before in one of these videos, I feel like I need 6 months off of my life just to get on top of my life. So that's kind of what I've done. So right now we're at the point where I have taken a career break from my job. So I do still have a job to go back to, but as of the start of this week, I'm now solely self-employed. So the only way I'm going to make any money is through my business in content creation. And honestly, I ask myself if I've made the right decision every day since I made this decision back in August, September. Because in theory, the easiest route would have been to drop my business. Stop doing content creation as a business, just do it as a hobby as it started. Show up at work for 20 hours a week, 2 days a week. I had a good salary, come home, job done. Everyone's happy. But it's just more complicated than that. It's more complicated than that because when you work a traditional job, you can't guarantee you can take time off. And one of the biggest issues I had was not being able to be there at Christmas, because my job's not the kind of job where you get a 2-week Christmas shutdown and everyone's off. Like literally could have to work Christmas Day and any major holiday. Not being able to know if you can be there for the school holidays. Now my daughter is in school, I really miss her and I want to be there for the school holidays. And I also have quite a stressful job, which since having children has impacted my mental health more than I expected and more than it ever did before. So there were some good reasons why leaving my workplace temporarily was a good option. And not only that, but I have built my business in content creation myself. It's the thing that I did for myself. And it's the thing that I can't just stop temporarily and come back to, because you have to keep the momentum going. So quitting the business wasn't really an option. Plus the business, whilst it is very time consuming and demanding, is flexible. So I can be there and I can work around my kids. And it just sort of has opened up a bit of a creative spark in me, and it's something I'm doing for myself. I don't really need to keep justifying it, do I? It's something I'm doing for myself. And it has the potential, because I would say right now, I feel like I'm working all hours, but it has the potential to give me more flexibility and give me my time back. So that is why I chose to take a career break from my job. And we are now just at the point where this is all starting, and I'm starting to think about, well, what do I want to change in this time that I have off? How do I want life to be? What am I going to do with this career break that I'm so lucky to have? Because I don't want to look back in 3 years and see that actually all I did was work all the time. Because when I chose to take this career break, I felt like I had to. Like I needed to do this. I needed to do this because I need to make some changes in my life. And so I thought we would talk about what I want those changes to look like, what I want life to look like, how I'm going to start making those changes over the next year. And I've broken them down into like 5 categories. So let's talk about them. The first category is health. I think turning 40 has made me seriously concerned about my health. I don't know. You just become more aware of your own mortality, don't you, when you have a milestone birthday like that? I think that's totally normal. And I've definitely felt it with this birthday. And not only that, but in the last 8 years, I've had 2 children. That is 2 C-sections, one being an emergency. I had sepsis. I've had mental health issues. I have put on a lot of weight, and I didn't realise how much weight I'd put on until the other day when I went to the doctors about the fact that I had another minor health problem going on. And I just don't feel healthy at all. I don't feel healthy at all, and I feel like this is a turning point where if I don't regain my health now, it's potentially going to be too late. And I know that probably sounds a bit extreme and it's never too late, but actually I'm headed down a slippery slope and I need to get off it. So in terms of health, I definitely want to lose weight, but I want to do it in a way that's healthy for my mind, because I've done all the calorie counting and stuff back in the day when there was actually nothing wrong with me and I wish I was the weight that I was then. Classic story. But I can't get into all that toxic calorie counting, all that sort of stuff, but I do need to lose weight for my health and for my mental well-being. So that is a goal I have. I want to lose 2 stone over the course of the next year. I feel like that's a realistic goal. A stone per 6 months, that's not too crazy, right? But I also know that I'm now trying to do it in completely different circumstances than I've ever tried to do it before, because I'm 40 years old. Things are changing, metabolisms are changing. But it's a big goal that I have, and I just haven't felt motivated to do it, probably because I'm so busy and so stressed all the time. And I'm not quite sure how I'm going to fit this into my life, but I need to make myself a priority. And that is what I have not done in 2025. I have neglected myself so bad, and I have not made myself a priority at all in 2025. And that's how we got here, to the point where I've left my job temporarily and I'm sat talking on the internet about all the things I want to change in my life. So alongside wanting to lose weight in the health category, I also need to regain my fitness. I used to work out regularly. I actually, when I was younger, used to be a competitive swimmer. And right now I'm not convinced I could walk up the stairs without being out of breath. So regaining my fitness is something I really want to do. I'm not sure what my plan is. I'm probably just going to do it myself because honestly finances are an issue. So I don't have the money to join a crazy gym. I don't have the money for a personal trainer right now. So I'm going to be trying to figure out how to improve my fitness on a budget by myself. Another thing I want to do is commit to taking vitamins or supplements that I need regularly. I'm having a blood test tomorrow because I've had persistently low iron. I've been having some other health issues and I want to figure out what's at the root of it and then make sure I'm taking whatever supplements I need. Again, I struggle with doing things that are required daily for myself. So like taking a vitamin. I mean, how hard is it? I don't know, but you would think it is the hardest thing on earth because I don't do it. I want to reduce my alcohol intake. I've talked about this before. I think I've got to the point where because we're parents and we don't get to go out so often, we're used to then having a drink at home on the weekend. I'm talking like 1 or 2, by the way. I always feel like this makes me sound really bad. I'm talking 1 or 2 drinks at the weekend to sort of signal the weekend, and it makes it feel like fun. I think I need to find new ways to have fun because alcohol now hates me. Alcohol hates me now. I feel awful when I have literally 1 or 2 drinks. I don't mean an all-night bender. I literally mean 1 or 2. It doesn't agree with me. I feel dehydrated. I feel awful. I don't sleep properly. And I need to stop drinking. So we're going to do dry January. That's going to be the kickoff to this whole thing. And then again, under the category of health, I want to improve my nutrition. So not just weight loss and not just fitness. I actually want to concentrate on what I'm putting in my body. I want it to be more whole foods. I want less UPFs. I want to get my vitamins from my food and I want to enjoy it. I would love to learn how to cook some more things. I feel like I've stopped cooking because my husband ends up doing the cooking when I'm putting the kids to bed, which is another thing that causes me to miss out on time where I could be looking after myself, is putting the kids to bed because my children don't want to go to sleep. They don't want to let anybody but me put them to sleep. So that is like a whole entire hour of my evening gone putting them to bed, which again eats up time that I could potentially use to look after myself, but I can't because I'm a mum. So those are my goals in the health category. Then I thought I would have a wellness category. I didn't want to do health and wellness all as one. I actually feel like they're 2 different things. So there's my actual health, my physical health, which I have worked on a little bit over the course of the last year. But I feel like wellness is a different category all in itself. And the main one that I need to deal with in the wellness category is stress. I am a stress head all the time, 100% of the time. I'm so stressed about everything. And it's partly because I'm overwhelmed and I have too much to do. But it's also because of how I react to things. I know I have some power in this situation. I don't do anything to relax. I don't do yoga. I don't do meditation. I don't do none of it. I don't exercise, no stress relief from anywhere. So I just get stressed and I keep all the stress, and it can't be good for the inside of my body, never mind anything else. But stress is a big one that I want to deal with reducing, and I need to come up with like actual ways that I plan to tackle all these things. But I thought we'd just talk about what I want to change in this video. And another one is self-confidence. So I've gone on this career break and I'm now solely a self-employed content creator, and I rip myself to shreds on a daily basis. I don't feel like I'm good enough to be doing this, and I constantly doubt myself, and it's really sad because I have built a business out of absolutely nowhere, no social media experience, no marketing experience, never owned a camera like the one that you're on now. I have an iPhone 12. And I've managed to make a business that I actually make money out of, that has actually made it possible for me to take this career break in the first place. But yet I spend all of my days thinking I'm not good enough, I'm not as good as them, I don't look as good as them, nobody cares about what I've got to say. It's all negative self-talk. It's terrible and it needs to stop. I'm not sure how to stop it, but it needs to stop. So that's what I want to work on. Again, under wellness, screen time. I would like to be someone who creates more than I consume. And I'm not. I feel like I'm always on my phone. Part of the problem is that I work on my phone, but I also am always on my phone. I feel like it's become a tick to, like, if there's been a second gone by where nothing's happened, to pick up your phone and see what's happening on it. Nothing good anywhere. So screen time I want to reduce. And I'd also like to deal with my anxiety, specifically my health anxiety, because I feel like overall my anxiety has improved over the last few years. It's definitely been in a bad place, but now I feel like my general anxiety is better for the most part, but my health anxiety is still terrible, really bad. Like if the kids have a sniffle, it's the end of the world. So I want to try and figure out if there's anything I can do to improve that specifically. So the next category I want to make changes in is finances. I don't quite know how to approach this one. Basically, I had a well-paying job. Then I went down to half of my hours. So I was getting half of a well-paying job, but it was still a good salary. Now I am solely self-employed. And my business has made a decent amount of money over the last few years, but not enough to replace my salary. So I need to figure out how to increase my income from my business, because I am concerned about finances and being able to finance this career break, and the fact that the cost of absolutely everything is going up all of the time. I do budget with me videos, and I was doing one yesterday and literally everything I looked up was going up. The car tax had gone up by £10. The water bill was going up by £15. In fact, £20 maybe. The green bin charge was going up. The council tax will go up. And I've got 2 young kids, and I just hold like so much responsibility for them having a great life. You want your kids to have better than you did, and they do. Don't get me wrong. And I had a great childhood, by the way. But my kids are so lucky, they've got no idea. But I also want to be able to maintain that for them. We don't live a flashy lifestyle or anything, but they do have everything they need, and I want to be able to maintain that. I don't want to be worried about finances, and I just don't feel like I'm where I thought I would be. So I'd like to increase my income through social media. Although I will say that one thing I also need to keep my eye on is not getting sucked into thinking that money is everything, because money is not everything. I didn't take this career break to have more money, clearly. I'm not going to have more money. The goal is time freedom. That is being rich. But I need to figure out how to increase my income so that I don't have to work so hard. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. And then I can have the time freedom and be there with the kids. I just live in this constant worry that, like, you know, what if next year I make nothing? You know, what if this year I literally make nothing? I guess that's a scarcity mindset. Why do I have one of those? I don't know. Why do I have that? How do I get out of that? I bet someone's written a book on how to get out of a scarcity mindset, haven't they? I need to order that immediately. So I'd like to increase my income, and the main goal, the main financial goal, is just to fund this career break. I have applied for this career break and it's 3 years, up to 3 years. I can go back sooner, but I don't want to, I don't plan to, so I need to be able to fund this career break. And that means making a minimum of £10,000 a year, which I have done previously. I'd like to make more, but I need to be able to maintain that for the next 3 years. And social media is so unpredictable, and I have so much self-doubt that I just worry, what if I can't do it? But I'm here to tell you guys that we're going to figure out how to do it together. I do want to set some career goals. I just don't know what they are right now, and honestly feel like, whilst I do want to have business goals, that's not what this video is about, and that's not what wanting to change my life over the course of this year is about. It's not about working hard on my business. It's about changing the way my life is and the way I feel about myself. I was talking to my husband last night about a few things, and I think a lot of it is driven by how I feel about myself. And then I just don't have the motivation to do things that could improve the situation or things that could make me happy or whatever, because I just don't feel good about myself. And it stops me from doing other things. So I don't really want to concentrate too much on career goals, because whilst they are important, I don't want to make this 3 years all about work. I want to come back from this 3 years, and if I go back to work, I want to feel like I actually lived during these 3 years, because I've gone on the career break to get off the hamster wheel of constantly being at work and then coming home and then getting the kids, feeding everyone, getting them to bed, having your tea, getting up, going to work. I want to feel like I lived. Which brings me on to the last area that I wanted to talk about, which was personal goals. So I want to work on some of my relationships. I don't have lots of friends. I don't have a big friend group, but I do have a few close friends, and I'd like to make sure that I keep in touch with them. I can be quite poor at keeping in touch with people. I get socially anxious, so I'm not necessarily the best at all that. But I want to improve some of the relationships in my life and maintain some of the relationships in my life. It'd be nice to make some new relationships. It'd be nice to have some new friends. But making friends in your 40s is hard. And then I've written down being present and making time for hobbies. I don't believe in toxic productivity, but I do think that I am programmed to be a little bit toxically productive. For example, every hobby I have, I turn into a stream of income. So content creation, for example, I started doing it as a hobby and now it's a business. And I end up feeling like I don't have time to waste by doing hobbies. I think in my head, doing a hobby or doing something for enjoyment is wasting time. And I saw my daughter this morning. She's only 6, obviously, and you know, things change as you grow up. But last night she decided to start writing this story. So she's writing a story about a girl called Cherry who has a cherry panda. And this morning she got up, she came down to the kitchen table and just started continuing writing this story. And she's like really into it. And I feel like if that was me now, I'd be like thinking, oh, I should be doing this or that or the other that would achieve something. Or if I'm going to write this book, it's going to become a novel, it's going to be a bestseller. You know, I just make everything work related, or it has to achieve something. I don't do things for pleasure, and I would like to change that a lot. So some of the things that I've been really wanting to do, and I've been saying I'm going to do for the last few years and I haven't done them, is learn how to grow some food. I would like to learn how to grow some stuff. I'm not very green fingered, but I think I can learn. So I'd love to learn how to grow something. I like colouring, I like doing jigsaws, I like reading, and I feel like I don't make time for any of these things because I feel like I don't have the time to waste. And I guess this sort of leads into, I want to be happier. I want to be happier, and I want to feel like I'm living my life and I'm actually enjoying it. Sometimes I feel like we're just going through the motions, or we're just doing things, but we're not really in the moment. So I want to find the things that now make me happy. What does make me happy? Because I will say, part of this challenge is that a lot of the things that used to make me happy before having kids either aren't an option or they don't make me happy anymore. And then I've spent the last 6 years raising children, and I'm only just now getting to the point where I could start thinking about doing things that make me happy, and I don't know what any of them are. I don't know what makes me happy anymore because I don't know what my interests are, and I want to figure that out. Basically, want to find myself. This is essentially what this video is all about. I'm 40 years old and I now would like to find myself again after having kids, but it's true. That is what is going on. For example, I mean, look at what I'm wearing right now. I just feel like I don't put any care into my appearance because I don't like myself. I don't like how I look, so I don't want to put the care into my appearance. And I want all this to change. All of these things need to change. I've got the next 3 years to potentially do this, but we're going to focus on the year ahead, so 2026. I've got this unique opportunity. I'm so lucky to have this opportunity. I don't want to waste it. So those are the things that I want to work on. I want to work on my health, my wellness, our finances, but in a sense of achieving time freedom and making it possible to enjoy myself, and personal goals, as in figuring out who I am and living a little bit now that I have chance now the kids are older. So that's the plan. Basically, I'm having a life crisis. I'm having a life crisis. I've turned 40 and I'm having a life crisis. I've temporarily left my job and I want to make it count. So I hope this has made sense. I feel like this has just been a proper little brain dump, ramblings. I feel very vulnerable right now, but that's how I'm feeling. So I hope you'll join me in 2026 as I start the process of trying to actually change my life and getting back to feeling good about myself and good about my life and enjoying things, having fun. Wouldn't that be nice to have fun, like real fun? That's what I want to do. I'll obviously vlog the process. I'd love to hear your thoughts about this video. What do you guys want to change in your life? Have you had this life crisis, and what did you change that really made a difference for you? Whatever you do, just drop me a comment. You have no idea how much dropping a comment on a video like this can help a little channel like mine. I am Leigh from Mortgage Free Leigh. I talk about money and mum life on the internet. I'm having a life crisis. I'm going to document it through the next year. We also go to Aldi a lot. We sort my house out. I do budget with me's. So if that sounds like something you would enjoy, click subscribe and I will see you on the next one.